believe it or not, are now 20 years older. They may not need as much protection as they needed before. Your mortgage may be paid down. But if you feel you still need the $350,000 of protection, you're $67,000 short, that'll cost $581. Well, let's take a look at the $581. Next graph, please. That'll cost me $1,074 with before tax dollars. Remember, they had to earn $4,806. That leaves me $3,700 to invest. Let's take a look at the next graph. That'll give me $3,700 at 12% for 10 years. Comes out to $73,000. But my $282,000 that's been sitting around for 10 years grows to $877,000. That means we've accumulated $950,000. Western Reserve has $230,000. I'm not too smart, but you hand me $720,000 more, and I think I could do a little bit more with it. Right. Now, I know this is going to sound just a hair silly, but they then run their illustration down to age 95. I'll explain to you in a minute why they have to do that. But they say if you chose not to take the loan, at age 95, you'd have $1,960,000. That's a lot of money. But if you chose not to take any money out of our policy, you'd have $28,479,000. Just a little $26,000 million more in case it mattered. Now, where I got that from is a graph. And if we can walk over to this graph very briefly, here is their graph. You'll see the cash value in the 60th year of the policy, which is the man's age 95. He has $1,000,009 of cash value. He also has a loan balance of $1,000,009. That's what's called the wash loan. We'll get to that in a second. Now, you'll notice that after the man was 65, he took $25,000 a year out for 15 years. And their sales gimmick is he took it out tax-free. But notice the numbers after that. The next year he has to lay out $16 out of his pocket, then $1,100, then $1,300, then $1,500, then $3,300, then $5,000. He's going to lay out $43,000 more out of his pocket to keep that policy in force. And he's going to have to keep it in force because you're going to find out the reason for that in just a second. Now, remember their selling gimmick, their main selling gimmick was that you could take out a tax-free income of $25,000. So if we deposit, can I have the next graph, please? If we deposit our $950,000 at 12% and we withdraw $25,000 of income for 15 years, we have $4 million. They have a loan equal to the cash value. But then they're going to say, but you didn't take $25,000 out cash free. So let's look at the next graph. 39%. You put in $950,000, take out $40,009, leaves you $25,000 after taxes, and after 15 years you have $3,004,000. They have a cash value equal to a loan. So what we've gotten down to is the bundling trap. In the bundling trap, you lose control of your investment. Now, that's really not exactly right words. See, you don't really lose control of your investment. Next one, please. You never lose it. If you don't have control of your investment, somebody else has control of your investment. It's confusing. You don't know what's happening to your money and where the fees are going. Bundling enables the company to put in fees which are hard for you to see. We'll cover that in a minute. And you're forced to pay for insurance way longer than you want it. Again, on that fee trap, there's all kinds of fees, we're going to enumerate them in a second, that eat into the cash accumulation. Bundling simply makes it hard for you to understand what's going on. If you want to buy a car, you go in to buy the car, and the first thing the car salesman asks you is, do you have a trade? I want to know the cash price. Then I want to know what you'll give me for my car. He wants to bundle it together. It works the same way in insurance. Let's see what happens when you bundle. Next slide, please. Flat charge, 3.5% of premium. Administrative charge, $5 a month plus $2 every time you mail a premium in. Surrender charge, $5 $1,000 plus 26% of one guideline premium. Ask a client if he knows what a guideline premium is. I guarantee you most of us don't know what it is because it has to be calculated by an actuary. It's based on taxes, age assumptions. In general, it could be one target premium, one annual premium. Asset management, 1% of the fund. Mortality and risk expense, 0.90. Premium tax, 2.5. Take a look at the next one. The next one shows that we have level cost of insurance. Need the next one, please. While you have annual increasing term insurance in the VUL. I want to read you what one expert says. One typical contract, a 9% return netted down to 2.5% after 10 years, due largely to sales charges, and 6% after 20 years, including the value of insurance. That was by Jane Bryant Quinn in Newsweek. With VUL, here's the sales pitch. You can borrow your cash values, allowing easy access and tax deferral options through the wash loan. What they're saying is that the interest you're charged on the loan is exactly equal to what you're being credited, therefore you retire without having to pay taxes. Let's see what happens in year 44. The man's now 80 years old. He has $648,000 in fund value. He paid in $78,000. He's taken out $15,000 a year, $25,000 a year for 15 years. In a 45% tax bracket, that man would have to pay $262,000 if he didn't keep his policy, if he lapsed it. Because it works just like a bank. See, if you borrow money from a bank, you don't pay taxes. But if the bank forgave the loan, that would be ordinary income in the year in which they forgive the loan. So let's take a look at what happens at age 81. He's got a loan balance of $647,000. Assuming 8% interest, he's got to pay $51,834 in interest. $1,000 for the insurance, $52,000 a year is what he has to pay. Now remember a minute ago I said to you that in the 16th, 17th year the guy had to pay $16, $1,100, $1,300, $1,500 and so on. See, the policy isn't making enough money or it would lapse. So to keep from paying that $260,000 tax, that guy's got to put that money in. And incidentally, if he lapses that policy when he gets closer into his 80s and 90s, the taxes could go as high as $643,000. So let's talk about the wash loan trap. If you collapse the policy, you owe the taxes that year as ordinary income. The loan rate is not contractually guaranteed to be equal to the credited rate. It's been identified as an issue by the government's General Accounting Office as something to look into. Do you want to buy something today that depends on tax laws 20 or 30 years from now? That is insanity. Okay? How can a policy fall apart? One, you can base it on overly optimistic results. You're going to get too high an earning on your money. Two, you skip premium payments. You know what happens in a mutual fund if you miss a premium or a deposit 20 years earlier? It's enormous out at the end. You could have interest rate fluctuations. The cost of insurance goes up every year. You could have tax law changes. That is 5 variables. In our solution brochure, we tell people you want to take control of your financial life, not have variables in your financial life. Prior to 1982, annuities had the same wash loan treatment. In 1982, Congress closed that loophole. If Congress closes the loophole before you get your loan on a VUL, you could be forced to pay enormous taxes to get your money. If they close it after you start taking out your loan, you could pay enormous taxes to keep the thing from lapsing, to keep your policy in force. And many experts believe that the IRS can come after this under existing tax law. It does not have to have any new laws and rules and regulations. Okay? Any change in any one of those 5 variables that I just gave you, any change will drastically affect the policy. Many experts believe that the inside buildup that builds up tax-free will also eventually be eliminated. So at the back of the brochure are some questions for you to ask your client. If I need my money in year 1, how much do I get? What percentage of my fund is eaten up by mortality and expense charges? Risk fees, administration fees, fund expenses. Why can't I use it as an IRA? Can I move my cash value to other investments like mutual funds without incurring surrender charges and taxes in that year? If I lapse my policy after taking wash loans, what are the tax consequences? Do you have written assurance of tax-free loans? Do you have written assurance of net interest loans? If the tax law changes, what assurance do I have that I will be protected from taxes? What plan, Mr. VUL agent, do you provide to me in writing guaranteeing me against those variable changes? Now, this brochure is absolutely super.